I am continuing my reading here, and what I'm doing in this series is to read through the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I am reading in a chronological order of events, not according to publication or volume, so I will be skipping around a little bit as I move along. Right now, I am reading in Exodus. This will be chapter 29. This chapter is a little bit long, so I may have to divide it into two videos. But as with the previous chapters, it's just a description of either objects or sacrifices and things. So it may not take too long to get through the entire thing. We will see how it goes. Let us start reading. Exodus chapter 29. Aaron and his sons to be washed, anointed, and consecrated. Various sacrificial rites shall be performed. Atonement to be made for sins of people. The Lord promises to dwell among them. And this is the thing that thou shalt do unto them to hallow them, to minister unto me in the priest's office. Take 1 young bullock and 2 rams without blemish, and unleavened bread, and cakes unleavened, tempered with oil, and wafers unleavened, anointed with oil. Of wheaten flour shalt thou make them. And thou shalt put them into 1 basket, and bring them in the basket with the bullock and the 2 rams. And Aaron and his sons thou shalt bring unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and shalt wash them with water. And thou shalt take the garments, and put upon Aaron the coat, and the robe of the ephod, and the breastplate, and gird him with the curious girdle of the ephod. And thou shalt put the mitre upon his head, and put the holy crown upon the mitre. Then shalt thou take the anointing oil, and pour it upon his head, and anoint him. And thou shalt bring his sons, and put coats upon them. And thou shalt gird them with girdles, Aaron and his sons, and put the bonnets on them. And the priest's office shall be theirs for a perpetual statute. And thou shalt consecrate Aaron and his sons. Okay, let us pause there for just a moment. To be tempered with oil means to be mingled with oil. So the unleavened bread is supposed to be baked with the oil in it, but the wafers, unleavened wafers, are just anointed with oil, so they are baked with the oil on it, not in it. An interesting distinction. Of course, the door of the tabernacle, that would be the portion that is opened up so that people can go in. This would be the gate. The bonnets, again, are the turbans that are wrapped around their heads, all that good stuff. Anyways. We're going to bring these sacrifices in to the tabernacle. We're going to bring Aaron and his sons to the door of the tabernacle. But note, they do not go into the tabernacle yet, because they have not yet been consecrated as priests. So at the door of the tabernacle, we're going to put all the priestly garments on them. Then we're going to anoint them with the anointing oil and consecrate them as priests. Now, verse 10. And thou shalt cause a bullock to be brought before the tabernacle of the congregation. And Aaron and his sons shall put their hands upon the head of the bullock. And thou shalt kill the bullock before the Lord by the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And thou shalt take of the blood of the bullock, and put it upon the horns of the altar with thy finger, and pour all the blood beside the bottom of the altar. And thou shalt take all the fat that covereth the inwards, and the caul that is above the liver, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is upon them, and burn them upon the altar. But the flesh of the bullock, and his skin, and his dung, shalt thou burn with fire without the camp. It is a sin offering. Okay, so this is the basics of the sacrifice. Remember, this is being done after Aaron has been consecrated. But this is also being done by Moses. This is not Aaron performing this sacrifice. This is Moses. Kill the bull, and you anoint the 4 corners of the altar with blood. Pour the rest of the blood out on the ground. The blood is not to be burnt. Then, on the altar, you take out all the fat, and you take kind of the organs out. So you have the caul. This is, I'm not even sure what it is, but it's, we got alternate Hebrew translation just says lobe. So I don't know what this is, but it's some kind of some kind of organ, some kind of innards, because it's above the liver, and you get the kidneys and you get the fat and all these things. You burn those on the altar. Everything else has to be taken outside the camp and burnt because it is a sin offering. So it's an interesting thing. Anyways, verse 15. And thou shalt also take one ram, and Aaron and his sons shall put their hands upon the head of the ram. And thou shalt slay the ram, and thou shalt take his blood and sprinkle it round about upon the altar. And thou shalt cut the ram in pieces, and wash the inwards of him, and his legs, and put them unto his pieces, and unto his head. And thou shalt burn the whole ram upon the altar. It is a burnt offering unto the Lord. It is a sweet savor, an offering made by fire unto the Lord. So what we're seeing here, I'm not going to get into too much detail on going over this. Is cut up the ram in pieces, put it on the altar, burn the whole thing on the altar. Notice the bullock, part of it was burnt on the altar, the rest of it had to be taken outside of the camp. All the ram is burnt on the altar. What we're really seeing here is Moses is instructing Aaron and his sons how to perform these sacrifices. That's what this is. Moses has been told how to do it. God has instructed him, and he is taking Aaron and his sons step by step through the process of how to perform the different sacrifices. Because it does say that Aaron and his sons placed their hands on the head of the animal before it was killed. This is their instruction. This is Moses teaching them what to do. Verse 19. And thou shalt take the other ram, and Aaron and his sons shall put their hands upon the head of the ram. Then shalt thou kill the ram, and take of his blood, and put it upon the tip of the right ear of Aaron, and upon the tip of the right ear of his sons, and upon the thumb of their right hand, and upon the great toe of their right foot, and sprinkle the blood upon the altar round about. And thou shalt take of the blood that is upon the altar, and of the anointing oil, and sprinkle it upon Aaron, and upon his garments, and upon his sons, and upon the garments of his sons with him. And he shall be hallowed, and his garments, and his sons' garments with him. Excuse me. Also thou shalt take of the ram the fat of the rump, and the fat that covereth the inwards, and the caul above the liver, and the two kidneys, and the fat that is upon them, and the right shoulder, for it is a ram of consecration. And one loaf of bread, and one cake of oiled bread, and one wafer out of the basket of the unleavened bread that is before the Lord. And thou shalt put all in the hands of Aaron, and in the hands of his sons, and shalt wave them for a wave offering before the Lord. And thou shalt receive them of their hands, and burn them upon the altar for a burnt offering, for a sweet savor before the Lord. It is an offering made by fire unto the Lord. So again, we are being taken through the instructions. But let me finish this passage here. Let's finish the paragraph. And thou shalt take the breast of the ram of Aaron's consecration, and wave it for a wave offering before the Lord, and it shall be thy part. And thou shalt sanctify the breast of the wave offering, and the shoulder of the heave offering, which is waved, and which is heaved up, of the ram of the consecration, even of that which is for Aaron, and of that which is for his sons. And it shall be Aaron's and his sons by a statute forever from the children of Israel. For it is an heave offering, and it shall be an heave offering from the children of Israel, of the sacrifice of their peace offerings, even their heave offering unto the Lord. Interesting. So when it says wave, it means lift it up, and so I'm not really sure. The details here, because of the wording, it's kind of confusing. But again, we get this instruction. Moses is showing how to, but this part is more than just instruction. This is the final consecration of Aaron and his sons, anointing them not only with oil, but with the blood of the atonement, the blood of the sacrifice. Very significant is on the right side, because the right side is always a symbol of consent and action. So they are on the ear, you're going to listen. You're going to hear what God says. On the hand, you're going to do what God says. On the foot, you're going to follow God's example. Follow God. This is all very symbolic. So, but I like that the breast is waved and given to Moses. Shoulder is waved and given there. This is kind of showing this is how the priests are getting their portion, kind of getting their payment, or this is how they get their share, you might say. They get a portion of this, but now they don't get a portion of the sin offering or the burnt offering. They get a portion of this heave offering, this offering of consecration. So this is a very interesting thing. I'm going to leave that here. This video is getting long enough, and I still got about half the chapter left, so we will pick it up in the next video.